To my knowledge, I've never been successfully scammed, but I've certainly seen a lot of people try. I've seen a lot of phishing emails come by, some of which were pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do a good job of sending you something that seems pretty plausible. You know, my systems are fairly locked down, so I'm a little more resistant than probably most people. But for example, I got hit with a death threat scam where I get an email saying, you know, someone has taken out a hit on you and you seem like a nice guy, so I will agree not to shoot you if you'll pay me more than he is. Now, I did some research and found out that the IP address he was using was in Australia, and so pretty certain this is not legit. But, you know, that's the thing, that if you're not kind of savvy, you don't know how to look at this, you're not familiar with these kinds of scams, that's going to really freak someone out.
Yeah, that'll give you pause for sure. You know, my dad got hit by one of those social engineering attacks, and it was, you know, via the phone. He was told that, you know, his son was in trouble and he needed money, and it was you know, supposedly a call from the operator, and some other kid was on the other line going, Dad, you know, like it can be really insidious. And he, you know, put his credit card through, and these things can happen. And I did that, you know, in 1997 or something. My credit card company called and said they needed to verify something, and you know, that first time they'll zing you. But
I just saw a kind of clever one in terms of scamming people to get that multi-factor.
Yeah,
which was someone had experienced a guy texts them and says, "Hey, you know, I used to have your phone number, and I've got this old account that was registered to that, and I'm trying to cover my old password. You're going to see a text come through in a couple of minutes. If you could just send me the code, that would really help."
That is clever. Oh. Man,
and most people want to be helpful.
Yeah.
And some of these attackers get really sophisticated. There was an attack that I read about where these hackers went in and compromised the reservation system at a high-end Asian hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had a list of people of interest. When one of them was scheduled to check into the hotel, they hacked the Wi-Fi. And when that person then logged into the Wi-Fi, what do you type in to log into the Wi-Fi? Last name and room number. Well, they know what their target's last name and room number is. They would then hack only that person's computer, inject malware, which would then sleep for 6 weeks until they got back home and, you know, they'd passed all the checks, and then wake up and hack them. You know, very, very targeted. But, you know, you're then on your opponent's home turf when you're checked into that hotel. And they were very effective.
That seems almost beyond being able to defend yourself against something like. Is there any way to defend against something like that? That sounds like the plot of a movie or something.
Yeah, I mean, it gets really hard. If that's the kind of threat environment you're in, you need to be thinking about, you know, running off bootable CDs that immediately spin up a VPN, that don't allow any patching, that, you know, are immutable. You do everything over remote desktoping over a secure channel, and then basically you bring a burner computer. You know, if you're going to certain places, assume that computer's compromised. You know, it could be going to some Asian countries or Russia or Las Vegas this week, right? If you're going to DEF CON.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have
a bit of a different end for that, but they prestige points.